We're back for another episode of Building the Nantahala Retreat, brought to you by Keeps. And I also want to give a special thanks to LP, makers of SmartSide, for the trim and siding products they provided for this video. We've got a lot to do today, including our electrical walkthrough, framing some stairwell walls, and installing our exterior doors. What's going on? Hey. I know you guys are serious when you show up with a Sharpie clip to the neck like that.
You should see the dollies.
What's a dolly?
It's a dull Sharpie.
Oh. So that's a Sharpie. And that's a dolly.
Yeah.
I see.
Fine print, bold.
Okay. After getting filled in on all the latest terminology about markers, it was time for me to grab my own and get ready for this electrical walkthrough. So my electrician's method for wiring a house starts with walking through the house and marking the locations of all the lights, switches, fans, appliances, utilities, and anything else that needs electricity out on the studs where they're located with a Sharpie marker. In many cases, the place where we want to put a receptacle or a switch, you actually can't because it's solid framing and you can't put a box there. So it's really a compromise of what will work versus what's ideal, and that's what takes the time. We are going to add a non-required receptacle on each landing of the stairwell so that you could plug a nightlight in there and get up and down the stairs in the dark. After a few hours, we had every single electrical location in the entire house marked, and it was time for the electricians to start chewing holes in our studs and pulling wires. The electrician also has the unique challenge on every single job of matching the breaker size and the wire size to every single appliance and utility in the house. It can also be a huge challenge to make lighting look symmetrical in a room because they have to work around our structural framework. These recessed lights in the living room are called super slope cans for steep ceilings, and they come with a cutout template for the finish material. Meanwhile, on the outside of the house, Jaime and the gang were installing this band board so that we could get going with the rest of the siding above it on this side of the house. Here we're using an LP SmartSide 1x12 trim board built up with a couple pieces of pressure treated wood, and you can check out the reason why we're doing this in the previous video if you're interested. They decided to start in the corner with this miter joint in the band, and that's because this will be the most difficult joint to fit and make look nice. And the rest of the joints on down the line will simply be square cut, and they're relatively easy to fit and make look nice compared to this one.
Here's a little pro tip, we do this all the time. We just drove a couple of nails right here to hold a spacing off of the butt joints on these big band boards. Because it's heavy and kind of hard to handle, when we get in here, we can just bang it in tight to the spacer. Go ahead and shoot it. We don't have to be kind of scrutinizing the gap size there. It's already fixed and ready to go.
Using a horizontal band board like this can really help to break up the vertical height of a really tall home. It also gives you a place that you can transition your types of siding, as well as adding curb appeal and visual interest to that side of the house. Adding a band board like this, though, is way more extra work than you would imagine because of the extra layout and flashing that you have to do to make it work.
All right, great job putting that band board up.
Good job making it.
Yeah, you helped me. Here's the flashing. Made this back in the shop. Me, and you. Yeah, I'm giving you credit, bro.
Did you say we?
I did.
Oh,
I just listened to the playback.
I heard I.
Oh my goodness, these guys. You can see here it fits the profile and the shape and the slope, and it's gonna have a little push in it to get it down. That's good. Less visible and more visible. So we start at the far away end so that when you look at it from the parking lot, you sight down this flashing, you don't see all the edges of the overlaps.
Yo, what are you doing?
This thing's making noise, leaking.
Get off your wallet, bro. Buy some new tools.
Trying to film here. This thing keeps.
For the ambiance job site.
So I bent this one open with a razor knife, and this one is crimped really tight shut on that hemmed up edge. Now I can slide it down, and I'm gonna go for about 4 or 5 inches overlap. There's no sealant in here or whatever, but it's all sloped, so the water wants to go downhill way more than it wants to go back that way. So now we got a nice tight fit. These are interlocked, and I'm pretty happy about that.
You may have caught it in our last video, but this flashing is a super important part of the siding system that keeps water running to the outside of your house and keeps your house dry. For that reason, we lap all of the joints like shingles and use sealant where necessary to keep it watertight. How's it going out here?
It's getting pretty dark, man. I think we might want to pack up.
Thought you were just complaining it was too hot.
No, now it's cold and it's gonna rain. We gotta get out of here.
Too hot, too cold, too wet.
Too dry, too painty, too coffee.
Jamie and I are breaking off from the siding for a second. We're gonna do some more framing stuff, kind of like punch list framing stuff, like finishing framing, because once they run wires through the framing, electricians, it's a lot harder to move it or add framing. One thing we're doing is boxing down this ceiling up here so that they don't have to drill through the top plate with all of their home run wires. They can just run them over top of the top plate. That'll save some time. And we're also making a nice, perfect spot for the panel by moving some studs around.
We also need to finish these walls that divide the two stair stringers, and the homeowner has requested to do sloped open walls.
Not a solid wall.
Not solid wall. This is gonna get a little, what's the word? Wackadoodle-doo. Triangulated, trigger-wrong-a-tree. I don't know. Something like that. It's gonna be something. We actually don't even know what it's gonna look like till we build it. So here goes nothing.
So we've done sloped stair walls in the past, but none really like this because we have multiple levels of sloped stair walls that are all interconnected from the bottom all the way to the top. This will give the stairwell a more open feel as you're going up and down. And if you're wondering why we didn't do totally separate open railings going up the stairwell, it's because it's not quite wide enough. We wanted to make the stairs wider instead of leaving more room in between the different stairways to put independent railings on each side. Doing an open type railing all the way up the stairwell out of hardwood or stainless steel would also cost about 10 times more than it does to do this sloped wall, and that's another reason we decided to do it this way. Here's what we got. So, you know, there's no solid wall here, and you could peek around and yell at the kids, "Turn the TV off!" That's usually what I yell.
It's like a zig and a zag.
Yeah, it's...
But I don't know which one's which.
It's pretty cool.
It zigs and it zags and it does it again.
What do you think? It's time to take a quick break from our video to thank our sponsor for today, Keeps. And Keeps has been a longtime sponsor of our channel, and we really appreciate it. With Keeps, you can get your hair loss medication online, hassle-free. You don't have to wait in any long pharmacy lines or even see a doctor and have an awkward doctor visit. You get a 3-month supply at a time, and it's quick and easy. And the really great thing is you only pay about half the price of what you'd expect to pay at a pharmacy. You'll get a 3-month prescription at a time, and it'll come right to your front door. Keeps offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved medications for hair loss, and it's easy to use. I know because I use it myself. So if you're one of the 2 out of 3 guys over the age of 35 that has some form of hair loss and you're ready to take action, go to keeps.com/Perkins and you'll get 50% off your first order. That's KEEPS.com/Perkins. Thanks again to Keeps for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it.
What have y'all been doing? This is all you've done?
No, it goes all the way up and all the way down.
Dude, we just sided the whole house, side of the house. Well, I think you should have zigged when you should have zagged there, bro. You guys did something wrong. What is this for?
It was easier to frame it that way.
It's a byproduct.
We don't need that in there, but it was just easier.
Actually, it does do something.
It does stiffen. It does stiffen
like
this.
You can't say that.
It's a cantilever.
Yeah, see, from this point out to here,
Lever.
it keeps this.
No, it won't
Just
either.
put this straight down, dude. Drywall's gonna be on it.
Coulda,
Yeah,
shoulda.
but see this, the way it comes out, it actually keeps this from going side to side.
And that one from there to there.
And,
It's,
yeah,
it's
it-
reciprocal.
It is self-bracing. How's it going out here?
It's going good. John and I were talking about it. You know, they have companies you can hire to do this siding stuff.
Yeah, why don't we just hire somebody to do all this work?
I mean, seriously.
I got things I gotta go do.
Up next, we're going to install this French door, and the reason we didn't install it before the siding was installed is because we didn't have it before that. And we're going to ditch the brick mold and use trim that matches the trim that's around the windows because I think it looks better. One thing I always do before installation is double check that the subfloor underneath where the threshold of the door is going to go is actually flat. If it's not, it can cause the door to not shut properly, and it's really hard to fix it once the door is installed. Next, I like to dry fit the door in the rough opening, and that just means that I haven't put any sealant down underneath where the threshold is gonna go yet. The reason is this door is heavy, and putting it in place would probably just smear the sealant everywhere instead of it staying where it needs to be. A huge pro tip here is to leave an extra 3 inches of rough opening beyond the door size for a French door versus the normal 2 inches for a single door. Also, most of these double doors have a screw through the top of the jamb into the top of the doors for shipping so they don't swing around. I like to leave those in place until the door is installed as well so we don't rack the jamb in some weird way. Our next step is to tip the door out so I can get sealant underneath the door threshold. Another huge pro tip for this step is to actually look at the bottom of your threshold and see where the solid part is. Some thresholds are practically all hollow underneath. If you put your sealant underneath a hollow section, it really won't do anything. Since we tore the brick mold off, Arlo added back a few positive stops to align the door flush with our sheathing. You can usually just use the brick mold as this positive stop. Now there's lots of ways that you could fasten the door jamb to the framing, but what I like to do is actually peel back the door gasket and use deck screws behind the gasket so there's no fasteners exposed in the finish. The rest of the installation process is simply shimming behind each door hinge on each side of the jamb and then fastening, making sure that each side is straight and plumb and that the reveal you have between the doors and also against the door jamb on the top is all nice and even. So Arlo, you're limping pretty bad there, we noticed.
Yeah.
What's going on next week?
Oh, I'm getting a total hip replacement.
Wow.
Just, they take one of these things and they saw off the ball. They stick a titanium and ceramic ball in there and then a polyethylene pad on your hip, and then they send you home like 4 hours later.
That's amazing. So we're gonna have like robo hip. We got robo hand right here.
I got one robo hip already. Now I'm gonna have 2.
Yeah.
And he's not worried at all. He already did one, and he's like,
well, I'm excited for you. I know it's going to feel a lot better.
Oh, man, it is. I'll tell you. It's crazy. The last week has gone downhill.
Now we needed to install the door trim, but there's siding in the way because we did the siding first and just let it run long. What I decided to do was to mark the reveal of the door trim on the door jamb and then make a jig using some of this one-piece corner board so that I could mark where I needed to cut the siding to allow the trim board to fit in perfectly. With our jig made, Arlo held it tight to the inside of the door jamb and worked it down as I made a mark on the siding with an oscillating tool, and that's because I couldn't see a pencil mark very well on this dark painted siding. With our jig, we did figure for an extra 3/16 of an inch wider than the trim board so that we would have a space for sealant to go once the trim boards were installed. Next, Arlo set me up with a circular saw with the depth set exactly so it would cut through the siding, but not the sheathing, and somehow not even through the house wrap in this case. And the final steps here before installing the trim was to cover the gap between the jamb and the framing with some zip tape, which is a flashing tape, and then paint all of the cut ends on our LP SmartSide siding with a color match paint. On the inside of the house between the door jamb and the framing, there will also be spray foam insulation that will help to seal the door and keep it weather tight. And finally, we were able to actually apply our SmartSide trim boards to this door frame and finish it up. We're also coming behind right after the fact and using color matched caulk along all of these joints. That way we don't have to do any painting later, even around the edges. I guess what I would recommend is actually putting your doors in before you do your siding, and that's our normal process, but we didn't have these doors in time. Oh yeah, and I forgot, we did put that door gasket back in so it doesn't get lost or damaged out on the job site. The plumber's here and he's asking me to build the ends of the shower walls, which I didn't do yet. I'm looking all around, no material. But there's this awesome pallet that was underneath our LP SmartSide, and it's got a bunch of 2x4s in it, like 16 feet long. So I'm gonna attempt to tear it apart and salvage the material and build a wall out of it.
Bro, are we seriously taking this thing apart?
Yeah, it's like $300 worth of wood in this thing.
Bro, you guys are a multi-million-dollar company, and we're saving $300. You're joking me.
It's because we don't waste money.
Where's that woman about the truck driving? She said they're paying $75,000.
Oh, good luck with that. So I actually feel great about reusing the wood in this pallet instead of throwing it in the dump and wasting it. And this is good wood. This is actually yellow pine studs, which is stronger than the studs that are in the rest of the house. So you may have gathered that there's one side of the house we haven't sided yet, and that's the easiest side to film, and that was on purpose. We're gonna be shooting that side of the house with a crew from LP SmartSide for their own website. So you won't see it on this channel, but if you go on their website, you might just see it. Thanks for building with us today. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this video, as always, remember to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, that does help, and we'll see you on the next one.